So we've got a few things that we were talking about a little bit backstage. One of them was the law and crime issue, law and crime versus Nick Rekieta, which you said that you were aware of as well. How much do you know about
I
that?
mean, well, I actually was in Milwaukee County Circuit Court yesterday, and right before I left, Mark had was watching in his office the Edgecombe trial, and it was at the part where like the paralegal was getting kicked out, and I was kind of just in general, I was like, oh, I wonder if anyone's had anything interesting to say on this, because I hadn't really been super following it just because of other things going on with my work. And then I kind of realized that I had started with opening statements because I wanted to see the opening statements, and that's when the issue with the stream being blocked for the prosecution's mostly opening came on, and I just was like, well, this is fucked, like what's going on here, and kind of followed it from there.
Yeah. So I guess you're aware that he got a cease and desist from Law and Crime Network.
Yeah, because I saw
alleging.
Yeah, he had a different stream later, I think that same day, that he was just talking about that, where he got the cease and desist letter.
Yeah, which is it's kind of interesting, I guess you could say, that they are alleging that they somehow have a copyright in the footage, which is like there's all kinds of problems with claiming that, and also claiming that somehow he's infringing, because he's got in my opinion, I think he has a very strong fair use argument in his own defense. And I think that just the idea that that's copyrightable is not entirely clear to me.
Well, I would agree. It's a public proceeding, and Law and Crime is getting the luxury of being allowed to be there in person. This is a situation where, honestly, that courtroom is so tiny that they're in right now. It's kind of absurd. Actually, there's maybe like 12 seats for the public in that room. And that's for everybody. The entire thing in Milwaukee County Circuit Court, like, there had been an incident in the past. So all of the criminal courts are like bulletproofed glassed. The entire thing, it's like a plastic cage. And there's, for the most part, a very small piece of, for the public. And just reporters being able to be there and stuff is very, significantly limited by the space constraints in those specific courtrooms. Law and Crime is getting a luxury by being there. And I don't think that, just strapping your symbol on something that is, more or less being, in that context, I don't think that's right.
Yeah. And Nick was going through on his live stream last night, he was going through the various court orders about the cameras being in the courtroom, throughout the various trials that have happened recently, like the ones like Kyle Rittenhouse, the judge, Kim Potter. And he was going through the sort of restrictions that were placed on each of those, and Judge Schrader in his, he explicitly said, like, no one is getting a copyright ownership in any of this footage by virtue of streaming it or whatever. And I think the Kim Potter trial, the Kim Potter order also said something similar, but the one for Edgecombe, which is the one that is at issue in this particular situation, apparently it was much thinner, much less detailed, and so it seems like Law and Crime Network is trying to sort of use that absence of detail to say, well, therefore we have a copyright claim in this. But I wonder, I wonder, and I know Nick was asking whether any sort of local rules would say anything about that, about whether it's just sort of like commonly understood and it doesn't need to be explicitly stated in these orders. I don't know if you would know, but
I don't know. I got the local rules actually on my my bookshelf over there. I could look at them, but no, that's not anything I've ever heard of. I don't know if it's something that necessarily Brovsky would have thought of or maybe thought was necessary. So I'm really not sure about that, because I don't know. at least as of late, they haven't had anything that's been like this big and televised in the past, at least to my understanding, knowledge.
Yeah.
And, since this has kind of become more of this format of the commenting on the trials has become an issue.
Yeah. Yeah. And it seems like that's like the real big issue here for law and crime, or at least the motivation for law and crime is that they're going after him because he vastly outpaced the views that they were getting for just the basic.
They're just kind of butthurt. So
that's what it seems like to me too. But anyway, but I think that the way that the legal analysis is so far shaking out is it seems like he's going to be okay in my opinion. So
I mean, I think so as well. I think it's when it comes down to it, I mean, it's not like it's original material on law and crimes aspect. They're just being able to document it. So,
yeah.
There's no editing involved. There's nothing. It's not like there's a significant amount. There's no real amount of work product involved in it. I mean, granted, they have to set up their stuff. Oh, that's, it's not like anybody else wouldn't do that if they had the opportunity. So
yeah. And I think that's one other point that, or a couple other points that kind of came up through Nick's reading of the orders was that, not only is this pooled for all media sources, but the order doesn't say that they can't post on social media. It just says that it can't be live streamed by certain news outlets. So it doesn't say anything about Nick's not a news outlet, and he's also, and he's rebroadcasting it. There was nothing about rebroadcasting. Yes. And anyway,
I don't think, is it technically kind of being live? It was delayed. I mean, eventually. I don't know how we get into those minute details, because this is all beyond my scheme of, practice. But if they're gonna start being, fighting over small details, you can get into things like that. It is a rebroadcast.
Yeah. So anyway, but that's and as far as I understand, because of the restrictions on the number of cameras, where they're going to be placed, the way that they're going to be pooled, that also puts a limit on the editorial decisions that they can make, or creative decisions that they can make. So which would mean that that's much less likely that they are actual authors under the for purposes of the Copyright Act.
Yeah.